Sam.
Sarah.
And we chose to do forensic nursing. For me, I chose to do forensic, my reasoning for doing forensic nursing is because I actually wanted to do forensic nursing when I first got into the nursing field, but then kind of decided to just go in a different route. Sarah?
It sounded interesting, so I figured, what the heck, let's give it a shot.
What does this nurse do? So forensic nursing is pretty broad. So like the base of what they do is they provide comfort and care for victims that have been traumatized. That is a large range of victims. Some of them can be from sexual assault, some of them can be from child abuse, some of them can be from, there's also elder abuse. Like in nursing homes, a lot of the elders can be assaulted or sexually assaulted, and the forensic nurses can deal with that. And then along with that comes collecting evidence. So with the sexual assault, they will also collect the evidence to, like, they have rape kits to, like, they can collect DNA off of the person that has been victimized. And then one other thing that's interesting is they can testify in court to, like, give the jurors and the judge, like, an understanding of what all happens in a sexual assault case or something like that.
It's a lot about dispelling rumors and making sure that people know how a thing could happen, or you could still become aroused effectively while you're being raped, man or woman. So it's important that people on juries know that, because there's a lot of people that think if your body responded accordingly, then you must have liked it. That's incorrect. The body just responds to things that it has been conditioned to do. That's just kind of how that works. Alright, what population is served? Trauma victims, mostly, though a forensic nurse could take care of the perpetrator. That tends to be in more rare cases, but if they were hurt in some way, then you might see it. It's common for forensic nurses to specialize in caring for sexual abuse victims. Unfortunately, you'll see sexual abuse victims in many varieties, including small children and babies. Apparently, one needed to go in for surgery after they had collected evidence because of abuse. So, people are awful, effectively.
Okay, the education level required. So, as it's like recommended that you get your RN to become at least so there's one of the fields is called the sexual assault nursing examiner. That is the most common field that people go into if they go into forensic nursing, and it's recommended to get your RN, but there's like a range of things you can get to go into that field. Getting your master's is not required, but I mean, it doesn't hurt. And also, I have some at the end of the slide talking about this, but you can get a master's in forensic nursing that can help you do more stuff. Like, it'll help you to testify in court. It'll be like, you'll be more reliable in court.
Alright, specific training needed. Some law training may end up being a requirement, since the nurse might need to testify. So for that, you would need to know what people need to know effectively, like between common misconceptions and what you can say, and how to not accidentally trip yourself up in court by saying something that might be commonly taken wrong, shall we say. As for certifications, there are certificates available, such as the SANE, Sexual Abuse Nurse Examiner. Takes about 40 hours of in-class work and then 40 hours of being out and effectively just doing clinicals to actually have this completed. So it's taking a class.
What programs did it implement? So a large thing for the sexual abuse nurses, the programs that they would implement is to get people to go out and to say that they have been sexually abused and to be vocal about that. So number one is they talk to people in schools about what kind of different signs there are of abuse, because there's many different kinds of abuse. So many people don't know what actually is abuse, and a lot of times the younger generation is the ones that don't know what it is and they are being abused. And then number two, setting up a common safe drink in a community bar so people can escape bad dates. That's just like a safety thing for like if you are afraid of the person that you're on a date, you can always there's a safe way to get out of it without like alerting him or anything or her.
I think in one state it's called an angel shot or something, or asking for a certain bartender, so you have to check up and see what the bar has.
And then number 3, advocating for more abuse clinics. Obviously, it's always kind of hard. Well, not always. It's clinics are widespread. There aren't like one in every single town when sometimes there should be, because abuse is a thing that happens in every single town. But like for like us, like there's nowhere in Huntington that's specifically trained to handle sexual abuse or anything like that.
Alright, job hazards. Burnout is an issue with most jobs, but this one especially so because of frankly all the garbage you have to see on maybe not a daily basis, but a very common one. Take the very young and the very old being abused. One of the things when we went to the sexual assault clinic was they had all these handprints and one footprint of kids on the wall who had gone through the clinic. There were a lot. And then we saw a picture of even more from the last time that they had one of these places. People suck.
And all those handprints were just within the past year, because that's when the building's been built. So there's like 40 handprints, and it was just within the past year.
Sometimes I wish things were still around. Let's see. Nurse might also be later assaulted for testifying against an abuser. That's going to pretty much be a danger for anyone that is in court or is collecting evidence. So like, if you were the one that pulled up the rape kit, or you helped provide information to someone who was abused so that they eventually decided that they want to press charges, you could end up being in about as much danger as the person who decided to press charges, because people are crazy.
Yeah.
And also they want to cover up for the bad things that they've done.
Yeah, a lot, like pretty much every single person every victim you're going to be handling, the person that abused them is pretty dangerous in some way. So that's always a risk to have with this job.
Especially if they're trying to protect a reputation.
Some challenges of the job. Obviously, you're dealing with patients that have been traumatized, so they are going to be really scared when they come into your clinic or wherever you are. So getting them to calm down and talk to you and just trying to make it as easy as possible for them is always a challenge. And then they might speak a different language, of course. That's very common in different areas. Avoiding burnout is the big one, which we were talking about in the last slide, but more into it, it's just a really dark job, so you gotta find those like light spots in the job. You can feel really satisfied after doing this job, but at the end of the day, you might be just thinking about everything that happened, and that's just never a good thing. And then hours are going to be flexible, because you're going to be on call for a long time, because you never know when someone's going to come into the clinic. So.
All right, salary wise, anywhere from like 50,000 to 93,000 per year, which, considering all the stuff you have to do during that year, seems fairly fair. This translates to about $24 to $45 an hour.
Organizations, there are a couple. The International Association of Forensic Nursing, it's not like an overviewing organization of the nurses, it's more of like a club kind of thing, but they can also, that's like a place you can go to get your certificate for sexual assault nursing examiner. And then there is the American Association of Legal Nurse Consultants. Those are kind of the people that will call you to go testify in court. So they have you like on retainer if they need someone to come testify in court and stuff like that. And then, so like individually, the people will be hired by the hospital. They don't have an organization that's specifically like hiring them out to hospitals or to clinics. But the different places they can go work is hospitals, anti-violence programs, assault clinics, so like sexual assault clinics, medical examiner's office, prisons, and psychiatric hospitals.
All right, anywhere where this is most prevalent. Typically in places where there's a lot of crime, sexual assaults, or trafficking, so typically you might see it in maybe more low income because people are more desperate, so there's going to be more crime on average, but also in bigger cities because there's just more people packed together and everyone's getting crazier with more people around. Let's see, anyone with this job in the area, there's the Sexual Assault Treatment Center in Fort Wayne, which we visited.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the only place in the area that does anything remotely
Specialized.
like this. So that's not great that there's not that many places to go to when you have a problem like this, but at least there's one place.
Especially if you're someone like me and you don't own a car, so you can't drive.
And the first half community class did go to it, and we saw it, and it was a very nice place. So, and then the second half will go in April, I believe. Then some miscellaneous stuff. So again, with the masters, you can get your masters. You can become an advanced forensic nursing, and that will just open up some more stuff they can do. A couple things is you can become a death investigator, a nurse coroner, or then you can be more of a legal nurse consultant. With the death investigator and nurse coroner, you're dealing with more like dead people, so that's a completely different kind of job than sexual assault nurse. And then you can also get your PhD in it to do even more stuff. It's very loose on like what you need to get this specific thing. You could just have your master's and get this job, but then they could also say, hey, you need your PhD. So it's very, you don't actually know what you need, just go for it and see what you need. And then also something that a lot of forensic nurses will do will help out with man-made and natural disasters. So if there's a shooting or something, they will go to help out with that. And then also like a tornado or something like the one that happened down in Nashville. I'm sure there were some forensic nurses that went to help out if there were any injuries or anything like that.